Fear doesn't disappear when you're brave. It bows when you decide to move anyway. I know where you are right now. You have dreams that wake you up at night and doubts that sit beside you every morning. You smile on the outside, but inside you're asking yourself, am I really enough? Let me tell you something. I learned the hard way. Confidence is not loud. It's not arrogance, and it's definitely not pretending you're unbreakable. Real confidence is quiet, rooted, unshakable. And today I want to walk you through how to become dangerously confident. Not for the world, but for your soul. Fear is not the villain we were taught to fight. It never was. Fear is not here to destroy you or humiliate you or hold you back for fun. Fear is simply a messenger. It arrives when you are standing at the edge of growth. It shows up when you are about to step into a version of yourself you have never met before. And that is why it feels so loud. Think about it. Fear never visits a life that is playing small. It doesn't knock on the door of comfort. It doesn't disturb routine. Fear appears when something meaningful is at stake, when your heart is invested, when your soul knows that what's ahead matters. If you were truly unqualified, uncalled, or incapable, fear would have no reason to stand in your way. It would simply let you pass unnoticed. But fear stops you because the moment is significant. I remember moments when fear felt almost physical, a tight chest, a restless mind, 1,000 questions attacking me at once. Who do you think you are? What if you fail? What if they judge you? What if you're not enough? And for a long time I thought fear meant stop. I thought fear meant turning around. I thought fear was a warning sign telling me I didn't belong there. But life taught me something very different. Fear was not telling me to stop. Fear was asking me to rise. Every time I listened closely, fear was pointing toward the very thing that would shape me. The places that scared me the most were the places that demanded courage, discipline, and faith. Fear was not an enemy, it was an invitation. An invitation to grow stronger than the voice inside my head. An invitation to trust something higher than my comfort. An invitation to step forward before confidence arrived. Here is the truth most people never hear. Confidence is not the absence of fear. Confidence is built when you move while fear is still present, when your voice shakes but you speak anyway, when your hands tremble but you reach out anyway, when your heart races but you take the step anyway. That is where real confidence is born, not in certainty, not in perfection, but in courage. Fear tests your commitment. It asks, do you want this badly enough to feel uncomfortable? Because everything that changes your life will require discomfort first. Growth stretches you. Purpose challenges you. Calling disrupts your peace before it rewards your courage. And fear is the gatekeeper that checks whether you are serious. So instead of running from fear, learn to listen to it. Ask better questions. What am I being asked to become? What part of me needs strengthening? What belief needs to be rewritten? Fear often highlights the exact area where you need to trust yourself more deeply. It exposes where you have been underestimating your strength. Faith plays a powerful role here. When fear speaks, faith answers. Faith reminds you that you are guided, not random. That your steps are not accidental. That even the fear you feel has a purpose in shaping you. Faith doesn't erase fear. It simply gives you the courage to move through it. Faith says, you don't have to see the whole path. Just take the next step. The mistake many people make is waiting for fear to disappear before they act. But fear doesn't disappear through waiting. It disappears through movement. The moment you take action, fear begins to lose its power. Not because it vanishes, but because you realize it cannot stop you. And once you experience that realization, something shifts inside you forever. Each time you face fear and survive it, you rewrite your identity. You stop seeing yourself as fragile. You stop seeing yourself as limited. You start trusting your resilience. You start believing in your ability to handle what comes next. Fear no longer controls you. It becomes a signal that you are on the right path. So when fear shows up in your life, don't label it as weakness. Don't shame yourself for feeling it. Honor it, respect it, and then move forward anyway. Because fear is not blocking your destiny, it is standing at the doorway asking one simple question. Will you choose courage today? And when you answer yes, even quietly, even imperfectly, you take the first step toward becoming unshakable. Confidence is rarely born in front of an audience. It doesn't arrive with applause or recognition or a spotlight. Real confidence is formed in silence, in the unseen hours of your life, in the moments when no one is clapping for you and no one even knows you're trying. That is where strength is built. That is where belief takes root. We live in a world that celebrates outcomes but ignores preparation. People see the finished product and assume confidence came with it. They see calm on the outside and think it was always there. But what they don't see are the mornings you woke up unsure, the nights you questioned yourself, the days you showed up tired, unmotivated, and still chose discipline over comfort. Confidence is not a performance. It's not something you put on when people are watching. It's something you earn when you keep your word to yourself. Every small promise you honor strengthens your inner voice. Every time you say you'll do something and actually follow through, trust is built. And trust in yourself is the foundation of unshakable confidence. There were seasons in my life when no one was paying attention, no validation, no guarantees, just effort, just faith, just consistency. And those were the seasons that shaped me the most. Because when no one is watching, you find out who you really are. You discover whether you are committed or just interested, whether you believe in your dreams or only admire them from a distance. The quiet work matters more than the loud success. It always has. Waking up early when no one is forcing you to. Practicing when no one is praising you. Learning when no one is noticing you. These moments don't feel glamorous, but they are sacred. They are where you build the muscle of self-respect. Confidence grows when you stop negotiating with your excuses, when you don't wait for perfect conditions, when you stop saying tomorrow and start saying today. Discipline teaches your mind that you are reliable, that when you decide something, you follow through, and once your mind trusts you, fear loses its leverage. There is a deep peace that comes from knowing you did the work, not to impress anyone, not to prove anything, but because your calling deserved your effort. That peace becomes confidence, quiet, grounded, unmovable. No opinion can shake it because it wasn't built on opinions. It was built on action. Public confidence without private discipline is fragile. It depends on praise. It collapses under criticism. But confidence built in private is steady. It doesn't need validation because it knows what it survived. It remembers the lonely days, the hard choices, the sacrifices no one saw. And because of that, it stands tall without needing permission. This is where faith becomes practical. Faith is not just believing things will work out. Faith is showing up even when you don't feel inspired. Faith is trusting that the seeds you plant in silence will eventually grow in the open. Faith reminds you that nothing done with sincerity is ever wasted. Some days the work will feel heavy. You'll wonder if it's worth it. You'll question whether anyone will ever notice. But confidence isn't built by being noticed. It's built by being consistent, by choosing integrity when shortcuts are available, by choosing patience when results are slow, and one day, when the moment comes that the world finally sees you, you won't be shaken by it. Praise won't inflate you. Criticism won't destroy you. Because your confidence won't come from the room you're standing in. It will come from the journey you walk to get there. So honor the quiet season. Respect the unseen work. Show up for yourself when no one else is watching. Because every private victory becomes public strength. And the confidence you build in silence will one day speak louder than anything you could ever say out loud. This is how you become unshakable. From the inside out, there comes a moment in every life when you realize that waiting for permission is costing you your purpose, waiting to be chosen, waiting to be approved, waiting to be told you're ready. And slowly, quietly, your dreams begin to shrink while you stand perfectly capable of rising. This is one of the most dangerous habits we learn, believing that power is something granted to us by others. I learned early that the world does not hand confidence to you. It responds to it. And if you stand at the door of your destiny waiting for someone to invite you in, you may be waiting forever. Not because you don't belong there, but because that door was meant to be opened by you. So many people mistake humility for silence. They think being grounded means being invisible. They confuse patience with passivity. But there is a difference between being humble and hiding your light. Humility is knowing where your strength comes from. Hiding is pretending you don't have it. For a long time, I softened my voice so it wouldn't disturb anyone. I waited for cues. I tried to fit into spaces that were never designed for my shape. And every time I did that, something inside me felt smaller. Not because I lacked ability, but because I was denying it permission to breathe. Here is a truth that will change how you move through the world. Your calling does not need consensus. It needs courage. You do not need everyone to agree with you to begin. You only need to believe deeply enough to take the first step. Confidence grows when you stop outsourcing your worth. When you ask for permission, you place your power in someone else's hands. You allow their fears, their limitations, their comfort zones to decide how far you go. And most people will never give you permission to outgrow them. Not because they don't care, but because your growth forces them to confront their own hesitation. Owning your power doesn't mean becoming aggressive or arrogant. It means becoming honest. Honest about what you want. Honest about what you're capable of. Honest about the fact that you are allowed to take up space. Your voice matters not because it's loud, but because it's true. There will be moments when your confidence makes people uncomfortable. Let it. That discomfort is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to honor the gifts you've been given. Shrinking does not serve the world. Playing small does not inspire anyone. Your growth is not a betrayal of humility. It is an act of stewardship. Faith anchors this lesson deeply. When you believe your life has purpose, you stop asking strangers to validate it. You trust that you were placed here intentionally, that your ideas are not random, that your dreams are not accidents. Faith gives you the strength to move forward. Even when affirmation is absent, you will not always feel ready. Readiness is a feeling, not a requirement. Courage comes before clarity. Action comes before confidence. Every time you step forward without permission, you teach yourself that you can trust your own judgment. And that trust becomes strength. Some doors will close when you stop waiting. Let them. They were not meant for the version of you that is rising. Other doors will open, not because you knocked politely, but because you showed up boldly. Life respects decisiveness. The world responds to people who move with conviction. You are not here to live a life approved by everyone. You are here to live a life aligned with truth. And alignment requires bravery. It requires choosing yourself even when it feels uncomfortable. Especially when it feels uncomfortable. So stop asking if you're allowed. Stop waiting to be chosen. Choose yourself. Speak when your heart says speak. Move when your spirit says move. Trust that the same power that placed the dream inside you will sustain you as you pursue it. This is how confidence becomes dangerous, in the best way, not reckless, not loud, but rooted, unapologetic, alive. And when you stop asking for permission to be powerful, you don't just change your direction, you change your identity. There will be days when motivation disappears without warning. Days when you wake up uninspired, tired, emotionally heavy and unsure of yourself. Days when the fire you felt yesterday is nowhere to be found. This is where most people stop. Not because they aren't capable, but because they were taught to rely on feelings instead of discipline. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls with mood, comfort, and external validation. Discipline is different. Discipline is a decision you make long before the feeling arrives. It is an inner agreement that says, I will show up no matter how I feel. And that decision changes everything. I learned that the days that shape you most are not the days you feel powerful. They are the days you feel nothing and still choose to move. Those are the days confidence is forged. Not through excitement, but through commitment. Discipline teaches your mind who is in charge. When you act only when you feel motivated, your emotions lead your life. But when you act because you decided to, your values take control. And values are far stronger than moods. Discipline trains you to respect your future more than your present comfort. There were moments when quitting felt reasonable, when slowing down felt justified, when resting felt safer than pushing forward. And sometimes rest is necessary, but discipline helps you know the difference between rest and avoidance, between care and comfort disguised as fear. Each time you show up without motivation, you send a message to yourself, I can be trusted. I do what I say I will do. That message builds self-respect, and self-respect is the quiet foundation of confidence. You stop doubting yourself because your actions have proven your integrity. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel, it asks who you want to become. It reminds you that future confidence is built by present effort. It teaches patience in a world obsessed with speed. Consistency in a culture addicted to shortcuts. Depth in a time that celebrates surface. There is something deeply spiritual about discipline. It is an act of faith. Faith that the work matters even when results are invisible. Faith that showing up today will make sense tomorrow. Faith that effort is never wasted even when recognition is delayed. Discipline creates inner calm. When you care, now you've done the work. Anxiety quiets down. Fear loses its grip. You don't need to pretend confidence. You feel grounded because you earned it. You know what you're capable of because you've practiced it daily. Motivation waits for inspiration. Discipline creates it. Once you begin moving, clarity follows. Energy follows. Confidence follows. Action invites momentum. And momentum silences doubt faster than any affirmation ever could. This is why discipline makes you unshakable, because life will test you. Emotions will fluctuate. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will change. But discipline keeps you anchored. It becomes your compass when feelings get loud. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be extreme. You just need to be consistent. Small disciplined actions done daily will build a strength so deep that no setback can erase it. You stop fearing failure because you trust your ability to recover. And here is the quiet miracle of discipline. Over time it becomes freedom. Freedom from self-doubt. Freedom from procrastination. Freedom from waiting for the right mood. You become someone who moves forward regardless of conditions. That is when confidence stops being fragile. It no longer depends on praise or success. It rests on identity. You know who you are because you know what you do. Consistently, intentionally, faithfully. So when motivation fades, don't panic. Don't negotiate with your excuses. Lean into discipline. Let it carry you on the days your feelings cannot. Because discipline is not punishment. It is devotion to the life you are building. And the person who masters discipline doesn't just succeed, they become unstoppable. There are moments in life when confidence alone is not enough. moments when discipline feels heavy, moments when courage feels thin, moments when you have done everything right, worked hard, stayed consistent and sane. Ill, the ground beneath you shakes. This is where faith becomes more than a belief. It becomes your backbone. Faith is what holds you upright when logic runs out, when answers are delayed, when effort is questioned, when the path ahead looks uncertain and the past feels too heavy to carry forward. Faith doesn't always change your circumstances, but it changes how you stand inside them. I have learned that the strongest confidence I ever carried did not come from success. It came from trust. Trust that my life was not random. Trust that delays were not denials. Trust that even the moments that hurt were shaping me for something meaningful. Faith taught me that not everything has to make sense to be purposeful. When you believe that your life is guided, fear loses its authority. You stop panicking over timing. You stop obsessing over outcomes. You stop needing constant reassurance. Because deep inside, something steadier takes over. A quiet knowing that says, I am exactly where I need to be, even if I don't understand why yet. Faith gives confidence roots. Confidence without faith can be shaken by rejection. It can be bruised by failure. It can collapse under pressure. But confidence grounded in faith stands differently. It doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't rush. It doesn't beg for validation. It knows that what is meant for you will not pass you by. There were seasons when nothing external confirmed my belief. No applause, no guarantees, no visible progress. And those were the moments faith mattered most. Faith reminded me that unseen work is still work, that growth can happen quietly, that strength can be forming even when results are delayed. Faith also teaches surrender, not weakness but wisdom. It teaches you to release control over what you cannot manage and focus fully on what you can. Your effort, your integrity, your consistency, your heart. When you render outcomes, anxiety softens. And when anxiety softens, confidence steadies. Some people think faith is passive. It isn't. Faith is deeply active. Faith wakes you up when quitting feels easier. Faith pushes you forward when fear tries to negotiate. Faith whispers, keep going, long before the evidence shows up. It asks you to move before you feel ready, to trust before you see proof. When life tests you, and it will, faith becomes the reason you don't collapse. When doors close unexpectedly, when plans fall apart, when people misunderstand you, faith reminds you that rejection can be redirection, that loss can be preparation, that endings can be invitations. There is a peace that comes with faith that confidence alone cannot create. A peace that doesn't depend on applause. A peace that doesn't rise and fall with success. A peace that stays steady even when life feels uncertain. That peace is powerful. It makes you unshakable. Faith also keeps your ego in check. It reminds you that your strength does not come only from you, that your gifts are entrusted, not owned, that your success is not just for display but for service, and that humility, paired with confidence, creates real power. When you trust something greater than yourself, pressure changes. You stop carrying the weight of everything alone. You stop believing every outcome depends entirely on you. You do your part fully, and then you release the rest. That release is freedom. Confidence rooted in faith is not loud. It doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need constant wins to feel worthy. It walks calmly through chaos. It stays grounded in uncertainty. It bends without breaking. So when doubt creeps in, don't fight it with force. Anchor yourself in faith. Remind yourself that you are guided, that you are protected, that you are never walking alone. Let faith straighten your spine when fear tries to make you shrink, because when faith becomes your backbone, confidence becomes unshakable. Not because life is easy, but because you are deeply supported. And that kind of confidence cannot be taken from you. There is a moment in life when confidence stops being about you, when it grows beyond self-belief and turns into something deeper, something steadier. That moment arrives when you realize you were never meant to live only for yourself. You were meant to serve something bigger. I learned that the most confident people I have met are not obsessed with being seen. They are committed to being useful. Their strength doesn't come from applause. It comes from purpose. And purpose has a way of quieting fear in ways nothing else can. When your life is centered only on yourself, your image, your success, your validation, fear has too much room to operate. Every opinion feels heavy, every failure feels personal, every delay feels threatening. But the moment your focus shifts outward, something changes. Pressure loosens, anxiety softens, confidence becomes lighter, freer, more grounded. Service pulls you out of the echo chamber of your own doubts. It reminds you that your gifts were not given just to decorate your life, but to contribute to others. And when you use your strength to uplift someone else, your own fear begins to shrink. There were times when I felt uncertain, unsure of my next step, unsure of myself. And yet when I focused on how I could help, how I could give, how I could show up for someone else, clarity followed. Not because my problems disappeared, but because they stopped being the center of the story. Service gives your confidence a spine. It gives your effort meaning. When you know your work matters beyond you, quitting becomes harder. Fear becomes quieter. Self-doubt loses its volume. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "Who might be helped if I try?" This is where courage deepens. Because when your actions are driven by impact instead of image, you become resilient. Criticism doesn't derail you as easily. Setbacks don't define you. You understand that your value is not measured by perfection, but by intention and contribution. Serving something bigger than yourself also humbles you in the healthiest way. It reminds you that you are part of something vast, that you are not alone in your struggles, that your story is connected to others in ways you may never fully see, and that humility doesn't weaken confidence, it strengthens it. There's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing your life is useful, that even on difficult days you are making a difference, that your effort, however small it may seem, is rippling outward. That kind of confidence doesn't need constant reassurance. It rests on purpose. Faith deepens this lesson even more. When you believe your life has meaning beyond achievement, service becomes sacred, giving becomes an act of gratitude, showing up becomes an offering. You stop asking only what life can give you and start asking what you are meant to give back. And here is the unexpected truth. When you serve with sincerity, confidence grows naturally, not forced, not inflated, but steady, because service connects you to something timeless, something larger than your fear, larger than your doubt, larger than your insecurity. You don't need to change the world overnight. Service doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes it's simply listening, encouraging, showing up consistently, leading with integrity, being kind when it's inconvenient, standing for truth when it's uncomfortable. These choices shape your character, and character is the strongest form of confidence there is. It doesn't crack under pressure, it doesn't bend under opinion, it doesn't fade when applause disappears. When you live for impact, comparison fades, jealousy loses relevance. You stop measuring yourself against others and start measuring yourself against purpose. And that shift is powerful. It frees you from the exhausting need to prove yourself. The most fulfilled confidence comes from knowing your life matters to more than just you. That your courage has consequences. That your growth creates space for others to rise to. That your strength can become someone else's hope. So if you ever feel stuck in your own head, overwhelmed by self-doubt, unsure of your next step, look outward. Ask who you can serve. Ask who you can help. Ask how your gifts can be used. Because the moment your life becomes about contribution instead of validation, fear loosens its grip, and confidence stops being something you chase. It becomes something you live. There comes a point in your journey when you realize that confidence is not something you achieve once and keep forever. It is not a destination. It is a choice you make again and again, especially on the days when it feels hardest. This is where unshakable strength is truly formed, not in grand moments, but in daily decisions to choose yourself. Choosing yourself does not mean becoming selfish. It means becoming honest. Honest about your limits, honest about your needs, honest about your worth. For too long, many of us were taught to put ourselves last, to earn rest, to earn love, to earn permission to take up space. But confidence begins the moment you stop treating yourself like an afterthought. There were days when I didn't feel strong, days when self-doubt whispered louder than belief, days when comparison crept in and tried to convince me that I was behind, not enough, replaceable. And in those moments, confidence wasn't about feeling powerful. It was about choosing not to abandon myself. Choosing yourself means showing up even when you're tired. It means speaking kindly to yourself when the world is loud. It means protecting your energy when guilt tries to pull you in 100 directions. Every time you choose yourself with integrity, something inside you steadies. Unshakable confidence is built when you stop betraying your own needs to please others. When you honor your boundaries without over-explaining. When you trust your intuition, even if it doesn't make sense to everyone else. These choices may feel uncomfortable at first, but they are deeply freeing. Some days choosing yourself will look like courage. Other days, it will look like rest. Some days, it will look like pushing forward. Other days, it will look like stepping back. Confidence grows when you learn to listen to what your soul actually needs. Not what fear demands, not what comparison suggests. There will be moments when the world questions your decisions, when people misunderstand your growth, when choosing yourself you feel lonely. But remember this, loneliness that comes from self-respect is far healthier than connection that costs you your peace. You are not meant to fracture yourself to belong. Every time you choose yourself, you strengthen your inner voice. And the stronger that voice becomes, the less power outside noise holds over you. Opinions lose their sting. Rejection loses its authority. You stop needing external permission because you have internal alignment. Choosing yourself daily also means forgiving yourself, releasing the weight of past mistakes, understanding that growth is not linear. That confidence doesn't mean you never fall. It means you trust yourself to rise again. Shame weakens confidence. Compassion rebuilds it. This practice is not loud, it doesn't announce itself. But over time, it transforms you. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, decide differently. Not because you are trying to prove anything, but because you finally trust yourself. Confidence becomes unshakable when it is no longer tied to perfection, when it no longer depends on outcomes, when it rests in identity. You know who you are, you know what you stand for, and you know that even on your worst days, you are worthy of your own loyalty. The world will try to pull you in many directions. It will reward overgiving and punish rest. It will celebrate productivity and ignore well-being. Choosing yourself in that environment is an act of courage, a quiet rebellion, a declaration that your life matters. And here is the most important truth of all. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for everything else. When you trust yourself, you move with calm. When you honor yourself, you stand with strength. When you choose yourself, you become grounded. You don't become fearless overnight. You become fearless one choice at a time, one boundary, one brave decision, one moment of self-respect. Choose yourself today and tomorrow, and even on the days it feels uncomfortable, because when you stop abandoning yourself, nothing in this world can shake you. That is how confidence becomes permanent. That is how you become truly unshakable. You were never created by accident. Your steps are guided even when the path feels unclear. Your strength was planted inside you long before fear ever showed up. Stand up with faith in your heart and fire in your spirit. Do the work. Serve with love. Choose courage when comfort calls you back. And when doubt tries to speak louder than truth, remember this. What is meant for you will not miss you. What is built in faith cannot be shaken. And the courage you practice today becomes the confidence you walk in tomorrow. Go forward without fear. Walk with humility. Trust deeply. Because when faith leads the way, nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop who you are becoming.